Hi everyone.
Hi.
Good morning.
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 We'll just give it a couple of minutes for people to join us. Good to see some familiar faces and also to see some new people that have joined us recently. So welcome if this is your first webinar with Breaking Down Barriers.
Thank you. Hi.
Hiya. We will do some I'm saying we'll do some introductions. I think what we said we'd do is we'll go through the slides and just to talk through some of the developments within Breaking Down Barriers first. And then at the end, I thought it would be good for us to have a conversation, bit of a Q&A, so that everybody knows each other. But also I know that there's a few projects that are ongoing at the minute and things that people are working on that might be nice to share with the group as well. So if anybody wants to give a bit of an update, I know Women's Zone and you and want to share some of the work that they're involved in. Rebecca, it might be nice to share some of the stuff around Ardent and the webinars that are happening throughout February. If you can stick around and give us a bit of an update on that. And then anybody else, if anybody else has got anything to share. Gene People, Sam, it's good to see you here. If there's anything that you want to share from Gene People, be good to hear from you. Okay, lovely. I'm hoping that my voice is going to last. So it's a bit croaky, but we're doing all right. Catherine will jump in if it all of a sudden disappears. So, right, Catherine, do you want to share slides, please? Lovely, thank you. Okay, so welcome everybody. We just wanted to take this opportunity, really, with it being a new year, to talk about some of the developments within Breaking Down Barriers, give a bit of a quick recap on where we've got to, and also it's a big celebration for Breaking Down Barriers because we're 5 years old this month. So I can't believe we've been going that long, and it's great that some people are here that have been with us right from the very beginning, and there's people that have joined us within the last couple of months. So it's great to see how much the network's growing. But obviously the model of Breaking Down Barriers when we started with 8 organisations is very different to the model moving forward now with over 50 organisations. But it's looking at what we can do, how we can work together, and what we're hoping to deliver within the next few years. So I just wanted to give you a bit of a background really on Ulstrom Syndrome UK and Breaking Down Barriers, because obviously a lot of the work that we do with BDB, you see quite a small team working on the project, but I wanted to just give a bit of an overview of the team behind Breaking Down Barriers as well, because Breaking Down Barriers is part of Ulstrom Syndrome UK. So all the photos on the screen now are all the staff and contractors, trustees and advisory group members for AS UK and BDB. Lots of skills within that team. We have 10 members of paid staff and contractors, but we also have people that give of their time very generously in a voluntary capacity to be either part of our Breaking Down Barriers advisory group or our board of trustees. We are going to be putting more information about our staff team and the skills within the staff and things that they might be able to support other organisations with onto our new website, which Catherine will tell you a bit more about later on. But I want us to try and look at how AS UK and the work that we do through our highly specialised services and the involvement that we have in research and other things as well, and the work that we're doing in transition, how that can then feed into any of the work that you're doing and how our family support team or anybody else might be able to support or work with you, and how we might be able to do some joint projects or learn together. So a quick overview of AS UK. So Ulstrom syndrome is an ultra rare genetic condition. It's extremely complex. So anybody that doesn't know me, I'm a mother. My son has got a diagnosis of Ulstrom syndrome. So he's 20 now. And it can cause dual sensory loss, liver, kidney, heart problems. It can potentially affect every organ in the body. And we've only got around 84 cases in the UK at the minute. So we are funded as a highly specialised service, and we have centres of excellence in Birmingham as well. As a charity, we do have a contract with NHS England to support that service, and we work in partnership with the clinicians to deliver that as well. So again, anybody wanting any information or around how we run that service and how we might be able to support you, then please let us know. So when we first started working in the paid positions within ASUK and developing the family support service, we started to build up our database and understand more about the demographics of our families. And we found that we had very few people from a diverse community. And so we did a very specific piece of work on looking at how we can engage with people from diverse and marginalised communities and looking at the diversity within our membership. And we've done lots of work on that over the years. And now we're really proud to say that over 50% of our members are from a diverse and marginalised community, and can really see it's because of the work that's done and the engagement and how the skills that we've developed as a team as well, and the support that we've had from our families to really help us look at what we needed to change and how we could deliver and include people in very different ways than we were doing previously to make sure we were becoming more diverse and inclusive. And that's through that learning really is where we developed Breaking Down Barriers. So as I say, we started 5 years ago. We started with only 8 organisations, and at that time we were providing grants of up to £5,000 per year for organisations to do pieces of work to really look at how they could become more inclusive and diverse. And at the beginning, we did a lot of work around ethnicity. So that's because where we started at ASUK, we were focusing on ethnicity. But as we've developed over the last 5 years now, we are looking at equality, diversity and inclusion in a much broader sense, and looking at how we can, the kind of work we can do and how we can work together, share learning to all become more inclusive and diverse, but never losing fact that we are grassroots projects, and looking at how we can include people with lived experience, how we can empower people, how we can support, and how we can learn from those lived experiences really to develop the work that we're doing and hopefully improve the support that we're able to offer to people moving forward. So the basis, that kind of thing will never change within BDB. Our focus will always be on those with lived experience and how we can learn from that. So next slide, please. So this is the Breaking Down Barriers team. We're a fairly new team. So Asia did leave BDB to move to another position last year. And then we looked at the kind of skills that we wanted within the team, looking at the network and the kind of requests that people were coming to us with and the kind of support people were saying that we wanted. And we were able to employ 3 new people. So we've got Kathy, who is our Networks and Outreach Coordinator, and Kathy's going to speak to you in a while about the community outreach project that she's delivering in Leeds and Bradford. We've got Vanessa. Vanessa is our Patient and Public Involvement and Impact Coordinator. So we've been getting involved in a lot more research, and Vanessa's going to lead our PPI panels because we want to do a lot of work around making sure that it's not just about including patient voice, and I think people recognise now the importance of doing that, but how do we ensure that that is a representative voice, and how do we include people that may not have taken part in research before, looking at the kind of support that we might be able to offer to develop a representative panel. And then we have Derek. So Derek's our Community Inclusion Coordinator. And Derek is the one really who's probably going to be the main point of contact for you all, because he is the one that is supporting the BDB network. And Derek will be talking about some of the things that he's looking to offer over the next 12 months. And then obviously we have Catherine, who you probably all know Catherine now. So Catherine is probably the first point of contact you'll have. She helps to introduce new members. We'll send out welcome packs. She manages our social media, our events, and generally we all wouldn't know what we would do without Catherine. She helps to organise us all and keep us all on track. And then there's me there. So I'm the newly appointed Chief Exec of ASUK and the project lead for Breaking Down Barriers. Okay, next slide. So this is the network so far. So every time a new member joins, there's certain information that we ask, and we ask people to provide their logo as well to put into this so that everybody can see the network and who's involved. So really proud to say that that's grown to over 50 organisations now. And what I also like about the network is it's a very diverse network within itself. So we've got some very small organisations with no paid members of staff to some larger organisations that have got, quite established staff teams, but being able to see how each other, and then everything else, what's in the middle there as well. But what's really good is to be able to see how we can all learn from one another, and how we can all share some of the good practice that we're all involved in that can then support other organisations. I think sometimes we often see a larger organisation with a bigger staff team being able to deliver lots more because they've got the funding and the support. Well, actually, there's still a lot that those larger teams can learn from some of the smaller organisations coming through because of the passion, the drive, the connections that people have got with others in their community, and the fabulous pieces of work that people are doing, often on very little funding. And that's, these are the areas where we want to step in and see where we can support, how we can support people to connect moving forward. Okay, so what to expect from breaking down barriers. So we hope that you feel that you're part of a very supportive and inclusive environment. We all have lots to learn. Breaking down barriers, we always say we're not the experts in this, but what we want to do is to facilitate that network, that supportive environment, that safe space where people feel that they can come, learn from one another, and hopefully not feel alone in the work that they're doing. We do a lot of work in collaboration, and we provide opportunities to learn from people with lived experience. We've recently done a webinar on understanding health inequalities in partnership with the Department of Health and Social Care, because I think a lot of people talk about the impact of health inequalities, but people don't really understand what that means for somebody living with a rare condition and being from a diverse and marginalised community. So we're always looking for examples and opportunities where we can include people with lived experience to help us develop that knowledge and then develop solutions and possibilities moving forward. We co-produce webinars, we offer training and resources, and we'll continue to do that as we move forward. Everybody now that joins Breaking Down Barriers will receive a welcome pack with goodies in there, resources that will hopefully be useful for you and your organisations. Thinking particularly about the trustee pack from Getting on Board and the calendar of religious festivals and things over the year. You'll all get copies of things like that. We'll also be developing further training on equality, diversity, inclusion, genetics, organisational development, how to communicate positively, and also looking at mental health support. So hopefully you've all received the mental health resources that we produce in collaboration with Rare Minds. If not, please let Catherine know and she'll send you a copy of those for you to share and use within your organisation. And that's something that I really want us to focus on moving forward, because while we'll not be producing grants in the way that we have done before, we do have funding available to produce and to provide resources and materials that we hope we can then share within the network. So if you want any particular resources around genetics or anything mental health resources or something specific, then please do come to us and have a conversation, because we may have some funding that we can contribute to things like that you might be able to make specific to your organisation, but the general information that we provide in them can be used throughout the network so that people can update that and use, that make it relevant for them. Because we understand, while there are so many things that, it's good to have some generic information that we can all use, but we also sometimes need to personalise that for the particular needs of our community as well. So as I said, please do come to us if there's anything that you're really struggling, in terms of funding, but have got some ideas of projects or things that you want to do. Let's have that conversation and see where we might be able to support with that. We also help to support your external appearance as well. So I think just sometimes having, not critical friend, but somebody that can have a look at your website and just give pointers of where you may be able to develop, or thinking about the impression we get when we look at somebody's website. Do we feel that it's representative? Are there some suggestions that we think may help to make you appear to be more, inclusive and diverse. And we're doing that all the time as well. There's still lots of things that we need to improve. As I say, we're learning all the time as well. But it's let's learn and let's do that together, I think is the message that I'm wanting to share. Derek will be providing lots of opportunities for peer-to-peer support, and we want to do more of that this year. And Derek will be talking to you about that. That's not to lose that one-to-one support that maybe you've had from breaking down barriers in the past, and looking at any particular areas that you're wanting to develop or projects that you're wanting to develop, just talking that through, or any funding applications that you're working on. What can we provide to help and support you with those funding applications? And they might be on a one-to-one basis, but it might be in small groups as well. And then just thinking generally about how to develop sustainable and resilient organisations. And, we've had a real difficult few years, and, and I think even for a few years to come, we're still going to be in that recovery phase. So it's what can we do as a network to support people to become more resilient? And I think thinking, in the short and the longer term as well. And then ultimately, we strive for equitable services. So we do work in partnership with lots of different organisations to look at how we can support others to make sure that their services are accessible and inclusive. So not only do we work within the network of breaking down barriers, we do a lot of work with Genomics England, with Genetics, with NHS England, through the Department of Health and Social Care, through the Rare Diseases Framework, and through a lot of the different research projects that we're involved in. So we're involved in a lot more areas of work now, but the hope is that all of the information that we gather and the work that we're doing in partnership with external organisations, we then bring that learning back to the network to be able to share that as well, and to see where there are areas for our members to get more involved or to share their learning in that. Next slide, please. So these are just some of the shared values that we've been that we've been thinking through, and looking at how this might be useful for organisations and members in the network. So what we are going to be asking people to do is to really sign up to some shared values. So members that are part of breaking down barriers, we'll be looking at, one of the things that, some of the things that we feel that we all share is that we promote and embed equality, diversity and inclusion within our organisations and services, that we all strive for equitable access to services and support, and that we aim to become more representative of our diverse communities. And I say aim there because we've all got a long way to go. I think we're all taking steps and we're all making efforts, but I think it's recognising that we've still got a lot of work to do on that. We collect data to further understand and respond to the needs of our diverse population. And these are some of the tools and things that we'll be developing further this year, because we understand that, we all need to make sure that we're GDPR compliant, but also I think some people still find it difficult to ask for some of that data and understand the importance of collecting that data to be able to understand and respond to the needs of our diverse population. We work in collaboration and shared learning, and we understand the importance of developing our own cultural competence and that of our staff teams as well. And that we recognise the importance of lived experience and work hard to involve people whose voices too often go unheard. So what will be coming soon is a sign up and a logo that we will provide for your organisations to show that you share the values of breaking down barriers. And again, when you're completing any funding applications or anything like that, you can show that you're part of a network that are really considering and actively taking part to improve in this area as well. And it's a logo that you can add to your website that hopefully will help you to illustrate that you share these values. Okay, next slide. Right, I'm going to give my voice a rest now and hand over to Derek to introduce himself. Derek's on mute. There's always one, Derek.
Hello, hi, I'm Derek. As Terry said, my role is really to be working directly with all the members and to provide that first line of support. So yeah, I'll be one of the first people that you hopefully will want to be contacting. And yeah, just want to talk to some of the priority themes of our work this year. So of course, inclusion and community collaboration. And by that, I mean, we want to be working with highly excluded communities to ensure that that they know, that working with them so that they know how to find each one of us, and that when they do find each one of us, they feel welcomed, so that they see themselves, their community, reflected in each of our organisations. We're looking at capacity building and sustainability, and I think this is a core priority for most organisations in the network. And our take on it really is it's going to be less training around capacity building and more doing together. So it's that journey after we've done the training, and how do we ensure that we're making progress? How do we set achievable targets? How do we support each other in that journey? And then the individual and community resilience and well-being. I kind of want to recognise that over the last couple of years, we've all been going through such challenging times, and our capacity for dealing with stress and challenges greatly reduced. And I think that means we need to step up our capacity for self-care. And that's what this is about. When we work with families, we tend to see the whole of the families, of the individuals that we work with. And I think that's what we need to be doing within our own individual organisations as well. So that brings us to the individual and community resilience and well-being. It's that idea that that we may that it's quite easy to get caught up in the overwhelm of work and in the stress of work. Quite easy for some of us who may have faced really challenging times in our personal lives for that to impact on our work. We really need to be welcoming the whole person within our organisations as well. And then the collaboration, cooperation, and creativity, that's kind of the whole purpose of the BDB network. How do we strengthen our own organisations through working together? I want to talk a little bit about sustainability and resilience. These are words that come up a lot. They're used quite a lot. And so this is what I mean when I'm talking about sustainability and resilience. Also, there's a bit around being solution focused and problem solving. And I'm talking about real live problems. So the work we'll be doing will be addressing issues that are live to you and in the moment. That thing around stress management and increasing our ability to stay calm in adversity, recognizing our responses when we are under stress, and knowing how we can get back to a place of rational thinking and safety. And I think the sense of purpose and belonging, I'm pretty certain that everyone has come into the network. Everyone's in this role because we have a strong sense of purpose and belonging. And at times it can get overwhelmed by the challenges, the day-to-day challenges of running an organisation, of delivering services to our membership. So it's a space to just reconnect with that sense of purpose and that passion that brought us there in the first place. Realistic optimism kind of speaks for itself, and strong supportive networks. That idea that we will set achievable targets together and keep giving ourselves positive and constructive feedback so that we're on track together. And the good work-life balance. And I think this is probably something that most of us struggle with, managing to sleep well, eat well, and move. And this is partly what I mean about embracing the whole person within our organisations. And we should be supporting that part, the outside part of our lives, as well as the work. And for the next, yeah. So we're going to do this in the following ways. And of course, we'll be providing the same kind of webinars and resources that we have done in the past. So introduction to EDI, continued more in-depth webinars exploring issues, issues that you might want. So if you raise an issue, if there's an area that you want to explore in more depth, we can try and respond to that. And some of you may have seen or been involved in the ICANN awareness that I ran a little while ago as an example of things to focus on. Areas that we're going to explore in the coming year, but definitely volunteer recruitment, policy and practice. How do we increase our capacity So using volunteers well, how do we retain volunteers and tap into that passion? Monitoring, evaluation and impact reports. How do we really capture what we're achieving and report that back and tell funders that this is the whole impact of our organisations? The EDI monitoring is an issue that comes up a lot. Is what data should we be asking from our memberships? How can we use that data? How do we ensure that whatever we ask them is used really well? And then how do we use to set our next priorities? And then of course, there's lots of opportunities for you to identify clusters or themes that different organisations want, different members share, and then we can put something together that brings them together and does some in-depth work on that. And of course, as Kerry said, we're responsive to requests, to doing lots of one-to-one support, whether that's consultation on a specific issue, looking at policies, looking at websites, and so on. I'm trying to introduce three quite large, I guess, experiments almost. And the first is the peer-to-peer lead sustainability and growth groups. And by this, we're drawing on action learning techniques and creative problem solving techniques, working on bringing small groups together, building up trust and understanding of each other's work, working on immediate live problems, challenges that you're facing, and using those techniques, using those techniques and drawing on other people's creativity to find different perspectives so that you can navigate your way through those challenges, and then coming back again in the same group so that you can see the progress you've made, the challenges you've had in making change, and then going through that whole process again, reflecting on what's worked well, and then setting another set of that you want to take, navigate your way through. And those groups, as we kind of build that trust and understanding of each other, there will be opportunities for not just support, but collaboration, identifying shared projects, areas where you've got similar challenges and you want to work together to meet them. And that opens up the whole possibility of shared funding opportunities. So, and I know funders much prefer collaborative approaches, partnerships, rather than individual organisation. And there will be workshops where we can guide you through that whole funding process, from creating the project or the area of work you wanted funding, identifying funders, making sure that you've gone through all the elements of a good funding application, and getting feedback on your drafts from both us at BDB, but also other organisations who may have that empathy and understanding of the work you're doing as well. And that third group, the resilience and wellbeing circles, this for me is really about addressing individual stress, individual challenges within organisations. So supporting each one of us as an individual within our organisations. And it's essentially a safer space, structured space to come together to identify issues that are challenging, stressful, that are kind of leading towards burnout, and just implement a stronger, more regular self-care routine. So it's that safer space to explore what's going on for you as an individual, how to work your way through that. And actually, these are tried and tested techniques, but they're really difficult to explain in the abstract. And the best way to really understand them is to actually experience one and experience what it's like to be in that kind of supportive structure.
Okay, thanks, Derek. Right, I'll hand over to Kathy.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kathy Chodrick-Rayner from the Breaking Down Barriers team, obviously. And my role is Networks and Outreach Coordinator. And we're currently focusing the BDB pilot in Leeds and Bradford area. And the aim is with this is that anything we glean from this pilot in Leeds and Bradford, we'll be able to build similar models and roll them out into other areas going forwards. So as an introduction to me, are we going through the slide there? It's all right, Catherine, don't worry. So me personally, I have an existing network of contacts and community groups right across West Yorkshire, of diverse communities of all ages and abilities. That's from a previous role that I had. So I'm going to use all these contacts to make my way into the communities and reintroduce myself in this new role. I've predominantly worked in priority neighbourhoods across West Yorkshire. So focusing on Leeds and Bradford, the first element of working with the communities and collaborating with them and involving them is through our health and genetic creative workshops that I'm pulling together. So the workshops, bear with me and I'll just read this out. So the workshops are health and genetic creative workshops. So these are predominantly going to be for people from diverse and marginalised communities. I'll be using arts and crafts. Arts and crafts cuts across all language barriers and cultures. And by using arts and crafts in the workshops, it will aid the conversations around genetics, rare genetic conditions and genetic inheritance. And I'll also be looking at involving in the sessions tips about staying safe when thinking about purchasing health goods. I have a background in working with scams, etc., and predominantly within the health sector, how scammers can take advantage of people that are in vulnerable situations. So that will also be incorporated in the genetic workshops. And then I'll be signposting for support and services within the local area, and also using these workshops to create a safe space and a trusting space for us to explore and have conversations about the barriers that people in these communities are coming up against with regards to services that they're trying to access. The workshops will be adapted to suit each particular group, their needs, and all the materials as well and resources. And I aim to obviously take them to younger people as well further on in the year, from age 12 years upwards. So you're probably thinking, well, what are we actually going to create here? So I'm basically wanting to use recycled materials, looking at materials of cloth, old clothing. We'll provide some of the materials, and then we'll also encourage some of the participants to bring some of their own things along, old clothing that can be recycled, bits of material. And I intend to make panels with these materials. But I'm going to do some examples of a family tree, my family tree. My niece has a rare genetic condition. And so that will help explain how genes are passed on, gene inheritance, etc. So obviously building a family tree can be quite an emotive subject as well, and not everybody's aware of that. My husband doesn't know his genetic heritage. And so we'll also be just encouraging people to make what they want. It might be, I'll provide templates, it might be a scene from nature, it might be an animal, a bird, etc. Or it might be something they might want to do with their family name, a crest or something. So it is using arts and crafts to explore what people understand about genetics and just open up those lovely conversations about how they feel about it and the barriers that they are coming up against with regards to accessing services. So slide 2, please. Catherine, thank you. So also in my background, I've got quite an extensive network of working, extensive background of working with third sector organisations, and also public sector organisations. So I've worked and collaborated with service providers from NHS departments across West Yorkshire, Leeds CCG, which is now, well, Leeds Clinical Care Commission, also now known as Integrated Care Systems. I've worked with the emergency services, universities, housing departments, carers, charity organisations and volunteers. So I see this as the second prong of getting into communities and assisting them in some ways in bridging those gaps between service providers and the communities. So what I learned from the workshops, the community workshops, and all that lovely anecdotal evidence as well, I will be incorporating into inclusive genetic health sessions for frontline providers. And so the sessions will include an overview of genetics and rare genetic conditions, the patient journey through their eyes. I think that's really important to bring that evidence to service providers. And tips on identifying young people with rare genetic conditions. I'm thinking this will be very assistive with if I get into schools within these priority areas and do some sessions with teaching staff. And also it's all about building bridges and overcoming the barriers to support people from our diverse communities. I've also recently, sorry Catherine, just to update people in the network, I've been awarded a place on West Yorkshire Health Equity Fellowship. So this is where the health providers, NHS providers, all the hospitals across West Yorkshire and Harrogate have come together and they've created a fellowship academy, and I've been awarded a place on this. And their ambition is to equip all staff within the health providers within the services of an understanding of the action that everyone can take to make services more inclusive and equitable. So I'll be going on some sessions, some of their training sessions, and obviously anything that I glean from there, I'll feed back to the network, to yourselves, anything that would be useful. And also that's the same with the community workshops. All information gleaned from my outreach approach will be fed back to yourselves. And also while I'm out there, I'll be looking to grow the network as well. Sort of getting in touch with groups, community groups that are supporting people with genetic conditions and other organisations. I'll be welcoming them to the network as well, so that we can all keep learning together. And then finally at the end, I know we've put a feedback form there. If there's anybody within your organisations in Leeds and Bradford that want to take part in one of these genetic creative workshops, please get in touch. Be more than welcome, more than happy to welcome them to a session and organise one where we can all get together. Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Cathy. I know we're really pleased to get a place on that fellowship. We didn't think we'd get it because they were only open to a few voluntary sector organisations in Leeds, Bradford, and obviously because we're national, we thought it was a long shot, but we were really, and I think the connections that Cathy's going to make there is going to be really good, and the fact that we can, you know, they're going to support to do a very specific piece of work around the genetics workshops as well. As well as the training and everything else. I think it'll be a really good opportunity for us to raise awareness of rare and genetic conditions within West Yorkshire, and hopefully make those connections that will you know, really help us to make a difference. But I think it'll be fabulous for Cathy to have some conversations with some of you. So I know Rare Revolution, SIBS, with some work that we're wanting to do around genetics and speaking about genetics with young people, and thinking about carrier testing, you know, for siblings as well. So it'd be great to have those conversations. And Rebecca, I know you've been doing some great work around genetics with your youth forum as well. Katrina, I know you're doing fabulous things. You've done fabulous things in the past and still are, with the Jewish community. And I know that they would be interested to talk to you around the work that you've done with students in schools and universities as well. And Mazish, I know you're doing some work in Bradford, and I think there'll be, some real good opportunities to connect with Kathy and the work that's ongoing there. So as I say, we'll definitely share any of our learning from that, and also, look any opportunities that come forward, because I think one of the things we've always wanted to do is support organisations that maybe don't have the family support workers that are going out into communities to connect with families, because we don't all have the resources to be able to do that. But as Kathy's working with families throughout, all the diverse areas within Leeds and Bradford, and meeting families that may not be connected to condition-specific organisations or any of the umbrella organisations that are involved, we can help facilitate those relationships and help you to make those connections as well. And any ideas around setting up local support groups, if you've got clusters of families within West Yorkshire and would really want to, to set up a support group, if there's something like that we can help you with, then just let us know. And, Kathy's looking at how to adapt each of these sessions from the different communities that she's working with within West Yorkshire. We'll then look at how we need to adapt that and develop some kind of templates and things moving forward, and looking at where we're going to roll that out next throughout the UK. And we are ambitious, and our hope is that we can roll this this pilot out into lots of areas in the UK, but we also know that we want to do it gradually, because we want to be able to monitor, evaluate, adapt, and really look at the impact that we're making as well as we move forward. Okay, so Vanessa, hand over to you.
Hi everyone. So as Kerry said, I'm Vanessa, so I'm the Patient and Public Involvement and Impact Coordinator. So my background's in psychotherapy, and I've worked in the third sector for quite a few years, working on the patient journey. So I'm quite passionate about being in the forefront of the BDB message of inclusivity and accessibility. So our aim at the moment is being for those voices, for the lived experience to be heard throughout the services we're in partnership with and research that we're involved with. So at the moment, we're working alongside Diabetes UK on a project funded by the National Institute for Health Research, looking at diversity in diabetes. So the title of this research is Improving Outcomes for Children with Diabetes from Socioeconomical Deprived and or ethnic minority groups. So we at the moment we'll be setting up a panel which will be for young people aged 11 to 25 and their families to have their voices heard and included in a meaningful way. Now, one of the first things that we'll do is be looking at what we'll be calling this panel with the young people, so it might not be that long of a title. And then yes, so we'll be working alongside diabetes staff and this panel, developing an action plan that families feel comfortable with, and that will support them to manage the diabetes effectively and explore what needs to change so that the service is accessible for everyone. So yeah, so this group, so we're in the process of setting this up at the moment. We have got a few members, I think with four or five in total at the moment. So and our first meeting will be in the next couple of weeks. It might actually be next week. Yeah. So what on the form that will be sent out at the end, if you do want to be involved in that, or you think you know anyone that might want to be involved in that, feel free to tick that, or my email address will go up at the end as well. And then we bring into BDB a PPI panel that will support the BDB network. Again, the name of that panel will be chosen with the people that are on that panel. So the BDB panel will be a bit of a wider range of backgrounds. So this won't just be for young people, it'll be for young people, adults, professionals, and we hope to kind of use those experiences or lived experiences of those people to kind of guide our work with BDB and the network that we're involved in. So yeah, that's the plan for PPI.
Thanks, Vanessa. So already with the diabetes group, I mean, that is a 5-year project. It's quite a long project, and already we've got somebody from Wolfram syndrome involved in that project. So any of your organisations where diabetes may be a symptom of your condition, then, you know, if you think there's anybody in your community that might want to take part in that, then please let us know. And the PPI panel for BDB is, you know, we want that to be as representative of the diversity of the UK population as possible. And, you know, and it'd be people with lived experience of rare and genetic conditions, or families, parents, carers. So yeah, you know, if you want any more information in that, we'd love to get that panel as, you know, quite a big panel really. And then, you know, people will be able to dip in and out of the different projects that we're involved in. We've been asked to take part in lots of different research studies now, and because people recognise the need to have representative members on their research panels, so being able to have that pool of people within the network already to support with things like that would be really good. But also for your organisations as well, if there's any particular consultation work that you want to do that you may not necessarily have the cohort of people within your organisations yet, but you know, you could then approach us to say, we want to do this consultation, are there people in your network that might be able to support us with that? So, you know, let us know if you're interested now, and if you know of anybody, and we'll keep you informed. But again, you know, as we move on, always come back to us and we'll, you know, and let us know if there's anything we can help with PPI. Okay, next slide, Catherine. Over to you, Catherine.
Thanks, Kerry. So hello everyone, I'm Catherine List, and I would think you probably all had communication from me at some point really. And I just want to touch a little bit on sort of a huge area of my work really, which is really all around communication. So analysing your window to the world, what does that actually mean? Well, you know, your website, your literature, your social media, the projects and events that you're involved in is your window. That is how your families and professionals see you, see your organisation, see the people that are involved and the community that you represent. So what is really good with the BDB team is we can really help and support you to be able to look at ways that we can ensure that, you know, that window is really representing your community and representing your community really well. And it's not just about the images on there, but it's all around language and how you really reflect the work and projects and events that you're doing to the wider world, to the wider community, and how we can really start to involve those communities more in the work that you're doing. So I can have a real look at your website, at the literature you produce, looking at, you know, social media, and really kind of unpicking it a little bit really. So, and we can work with that together. And what we often find at ASGK and BDB is that sometimes when we're so involved in a project, or you've spent weeks and weeks developing maybe a leaflet or, you know, a new area of the website, we can be so focused that sometimes we can't always see everything there. We can't always see how it is reflected to the wider community. So sometimes getting some new eyes and some more opinions on that work can really help you develop as an organisation. And that's what we're all about. You know, we're not saying we have all the answers to everything, but we're here to support you through it and to really look at how we can, you know, develop your organisation to be more inclusive, and having a look at ways that we can do that together. And it's also around really sort of staying connected. How can we do that as an organisation, and how can BDB really support you with that? So, you know, let us know what events you've got going on, what projects you've got going on, and the fantastic work that you're all doing to be inclusive. And let us help you shout about it. So let us know about the events and projects you've got going on, and then we can put it on our social media. Using Twitter as an example, we normally have around sort of 20,000 views of our posts and around 1,000 profile views. And I always love that stat. So I always love looking at how many people are actually looking at our profile, because often those profile views tell me that people are wanting to know more about our organisation and wanting to know more about BDB, so might be going over to the website. And we are looking at currently developing and revamping the website. It's actually not that long since we did a bit of a revamp, but I'd like to develop it further. A lot of the information is on the website about our history, about BDB and how we got to where we are now. But actually the journey has taken off fantastically in the way, you know, we now have over 50 organisations involved, and rather, you know, we want our history to be on there, but we don't want it to be the be all and end all. We want it to be a little bit, but then actually talking about the fantastic projects and work that you've all as BDB members have got involved in. So we really want to shout about the work that you guys are doing and how we can support members and new people to come along that we can support further as well. So I am doing a bit of a development project at the moment with the website, really looking at some of the projects you've all been involved in and really highlighting some of the work that you're doing. So please do let us shout about that as well and help promote you guys too, which, as I say, we can do on our social media. We can promote some of that work on our website. And we also have a fortnightly network news, which goes out to all members and the wider rare disease networks, professionals and genetics organisations as well. So it's a real, our mailing list is really quite varied because it's not only just BDB organisations, but it's also looking at kind of the Alström Syndrome UK networks as well, and professionals, research and clinical side of things. So we also really highlight the work you're doing on there. So please let us know if you need anything to be promoted. And for new members, we like to introduce you to the network. So, you know, using your logo and information about you to explain about, you know, why you're here, why you're a member and how we can support you through that. Now, we also love doing an annual conference. We've done them in the past as in-person conferences, which I know seems like a bit of a lifetime ago now, but, you know, the workshops and conferences we've done in the past have been so beneficial to our members, particularly, you know, the feedback we've had that actually coming together, sharing experiences, sharing your knowledge in person, you know, nothing beats it. You know, we can put all the virtual ones on in the world, which are great. But, you know, what we found in the past that actually those face-to-face conferences and events really do really support the knowledge and experiences and enable that sharing to go on. So we want to get back to that, you know, but in the interim period, it's probably going to be a bit of a combination of both until the pandemic kind of settles down a little bit further. So we'd like to plan hopefully later in the year, if possible, fingers crossed, to be able to bring everyone together for an annual conference and workshops. In the interim period, we'll still be doing lots of events, which will be virtual. So do keep an eye out for some of our, you know, the webinars which are going on, the training that's going on. But also we will be trying to do some online workshops so that we can keep that going in the interim, which have been fantastic, don't get me wrong. But I think, you know, that face-to-face meeting people is, you know, is what we all, I think, want to get back to as well. So a bit of a combination of both there. I think will work well going forward. Just fingers crossed we can hopefully get to that point at some point soon. So back over to you, Kerry.
Thanks, Catherine. And I think also recognising that actually a lot of the events now, people are finding online working a lot more accessible. Not everybody can make it to face-to-face events as well. So we don't want to, you know, we want to make sure that we're providing opportunities for everyone really. So it'd be great to hear from you as to how you would like to see conferences and events in the future from BDB. You know, those that have been to our workshops in the past, you know, would you like to get back to that? Or actually now are you finding that you can do just as much virtually? I think it's, you know, we'll all have mixed thoughts around that. I personally would like to get in a room with everybody again at some point, but I know things are still very challenging with the pandemic, and we all work with people in vulnerable, you know, with complex health conditions. So, you know, we're just going to see how things go for the time being, and decide whether we can put on a face-to-face event. But again, around the funding for that, you know, we will provide as much of that free of charge to organisations as we can. and any other kind of local events that we'd like to run, get-togethers. You know, we'll look at, particularly for those organisations that maybe don't have the funding to be able to attend events and things as well. So always speak to us. Don't ever let there be a barrier. Don't let funding be a barrier to joining any of the BDB events. Always talk to us about that. So just a bit of an overview of the other work that we're doing really, and how we work in collaboration with others. So we work very closely with others in the rare and genetic community. We work closely with Genetic Alliance UK and other organisations as well. We believe that we're stronger together, and we are careful not to duplicate work that's happening elsewhere. Obviously, there's inevitably going to be some overlaps with some of the work that's happening in other organisations, but we're all working together to see how we can avoid that, and maybe look at how we can work in partnership as well to support the rare and genetic community. We're doing lots of work with the UK Rare Diseases Framework. So I'm on the Rare Disease Delivery Group for England, just developing an action plan for England in response to the framework that will be published on Rare Disease Day. And again, spent a lot of time looking at health inequalities. And we ran the workshop recently that's made a real impact on the action plan. A lot of the feedback from that workshop now has been incorporated into that action plan. And you know, people like Genomics England and NHS England are looking at how they can really use the information that we gathered from that workshop to tweak their actions and make sure that they are considering the needs of everyone in the UK. And we're not doing that on our own. You know, we're doing that in there's Whose Voice Is It Anyway campaign that we've been involved with, and you know, Genetic Alliance UK, Find a Cure, and all the other organisations, and a lot of you here I know have contributed to that framework and England's action plan as well, which is fabulous. So thank you for that. We're also getting more involved in research, as I mentioned before. So one of the projects we're doing in partnership at the minute with Genetic Alliance UK and somebody called Intent Health is looking at ethnicity in clinical trials and looking at how we can develop more representation within clinical trials as well, because it's you know, white people that are involved in clinical trials, and you know, we need to get more diversity. So that's an ongoing piece of work that we'll be working on over the next 12 months. We've talked about the community outreach project, and again, any opportunities to get involved in that, let us know. And any professionals that you're working with in Leeds, Bradford, that you think may be useful contacts for us, please let us know about that. And then we really want to get back when we can to the community and awareness raising events. So if those that have been with us for a while, you may remember that we ran the event in Luton, and we were going to be starting a roadshow, taking that to other areas throughout the UK. We hope to be able to get back to that as soon as possible. And again, if there's information about your organisations and your conditions that we can share at those events, if you know, you'd be more than welcome to join us there. But if you're not able to, share your information with us, and we'll share that on your behalf. Connecting individuals, families and organisations. Again, if we can signpost through the work that we're doing in our pilot project, then you know, if you're happy to accept those referrals from us, we're more than happy to do that. We're doing some work in collaboration with Rare Minds, developing Rare Pride. So really looking at the intersectionality of people from LGBT+ communities who are also affected by a rare condition, and looking at what additional support and understanding from people's lived experience of what needs to change to improve services. We're also going to be doing some work around transition. So through AS UK, we developed some transition, it's like a toolkit. So transition skills and knowledge and skills in healthcare. So we're really looking at how we can adapt that really to incorporate more of an EDI element, really looking at people's identity and their culture and what matters to them. So again, they're tools that can be used for any condition, that as once we've adapted those and updated them, we'll share that within your network, that you can then share with your healthcare providers as well to see if that's useful. We'll be looking at opportunities for joint funding applications. We are secure for BDB for the next 4 to 5 years. We have managed to secure funding for the project. So we will continue, but and within that, we have got a budget for workshops, local events, materials, resources, community groups. So that's why I say any kind of project or anything that you're involved in, if there's something you're needing that funding for, speak to us, because it may be that we can use some of the budget that we've got for some of those resources, or we can look at doing joint funding applications where we can, you know, we can support you to gather the fundings for the work that you want to do. And again, the joint resources that we may be able to fund with some basic generic information that then we can adapt for each specific organisation. And Catherine's mentioned the network news, and we'll continue to update the information hub on our new website. Next slide. So introduced this year, we're introducing our BDB champion. So each year we'll be selecting 2 member organisations who have shown improvement and dedication to EDI, and they'll win our BDB champion award, and there will be prizes. And also, you know, you'll get an award to be able to display and to share within your organisation. Again, just really showing the efforts that you're going to make improvements in this area. So Catherine will send further information round, and we'll keep you updated in our BDB news. Next slide. I don't need to go over everything else really. I think we've talked about everything in quite a lot of detail. So these slides will be shared with you, and a recording will be made available on the website. If there's any of the areas that we've talked about today that you want more information on, we will be sharing the Google Docs forms for you to provide your feedback. We can have one-to-one conversations with you about these individual areas in more detail, and we'll keep everybody updated. These are the contact details for everybody in the BDB team. Feel free to contact us directly, or contact Catherine and she'll directly query to anybody else in the team. So just wanted now to open the floor really to everybody else to see if you've got any specific questions on thoughts around how we may be able to support you in other ways that we might not have mentioned today. Is there anything that we've talked about that you want more information on? Or again, if there's anything that you want to talk about the specific projects and work that you're doing that you want to inform the rest of the group, please feel free to do so. Who wants to go first? Go on. Oh. Any questions? No? Okay. So Mazish, do you want to introduce the work that you're doing in Bradford?
Hiya, yes. So I'm working for a charity called Women's Zone, and what we're doing is we're trying to increase the genetic literacy of the public. So I will be running I'll be facilitating some sessions just for the general public, just to increase their genetic literacy. I used to be a science teacher, so I'm going to try and hopefully use quite a lot of my teaching skills to help with that. So if anybody's got any material that they've found that's worked really well with the public, that would be really good if you could share some, if you've got anything.
Thanks, Majid. That's great. Simon, sorry, I'm picking on you. Do you want to give us a bit of an update of what work you're involved in?
Am I the only Simon on the call? Are you talking to me, Kerry? Hello everyone. I'm Simon Wild. I'm the Engagement Director at Genomics England, and it's been really interesting to hear about all the projects that have been going on. So thank you very much for inviting me, and sounds some amazing stuff going on. There's a couple of projects that that I'm heavily involved in. Genomics England is heavily involved in, and we're calling them our kind of strategic initiatives. There's one around looking into the possibility of using whole genome sequencing as part of the newborn screening program. And I don't know if none of you heard anything about that. There's some information on our website about a proposed research pilot that we're wanting to set up that's going to start not for another 18 months or so, but if it's anyone's interested in that, within the next few months, probably around about 6 months, we'll be selecting the pilot sites for where that's going on, and it's possible that there'll be sites all the way around the country. So we're looking at how we kind of look at identifying those sites, and then the community engagement we're doing around there. So that's the newborns program. And as I say, if anyone's interested, we'll be doing a consultation as well coming up in the next couple of months, which is around looking at what gene conditions, what variants, those kind of issues that will be included in the pilot program. So if you're interested at all about that, then please do get in touch. The other program that's probably a little bit earlier in development is a big program around diverse data, and with the kind of fundamental aim of saying, actually, in terms of genetic research and clinical genetics and genomics, we're wanting to make sure that the data sets that people use for research and other kind of purposes are reflected more broadly of the population. You'll be obviously aware that there is an issue that a lot of the genome data sets that are used around the world tend to be very much skewed towards kind of white European ancestries and things like that. So there's a lot of work we're doing, for example, in collaboration with groups like Born in Bradford and other places. And we are starting to develop a bit of a network of people who do lots of work in this kind of area. I'm thinking of people like Segura in Leeds, that does a genetic counselor, that does a lot of this kind of things. So we're still again in fairly early stages of that, but I'll put a link for you into a new microsite that we've just recently launched called Mind the Gap, which is inviting people to kind of write in with their own experiences and kind of work that they've done in terms of increasing this diversity. It's specifically relating to genomics. The website's called Mind the Gap, and there's some really interesting articles and podcasts and things on there. I'll pop the URL and the link. Really interested to know what you think about that and how to do it. And I've already, very cheekily, emailed a couple of you and said, if there's anything we can do in terms of help, in terms of, providing some genetic backgrounding, but those kind of things, then we're really keen to work with you and help out wherever we can. So thanks for the opportunity, Karen.
Great, thanks, Simon. Any questions for Simon? No. Okay. Sam, what are Gene People up to? Do you want to just give a bit of update about your organisation?
Yeah, great. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Really interesting to hear your plans for this year. I was sitting here making notes of all the things that I'll need to touch base with you about participating. So we're Gene People. We used to be called Genetic Disorders UK, for anyone who missed that piece of news in June last year. And we are currently just putting together a directory of patient organisations. You do not have to be a partnership network member, although I would encourage you to do it because it is free, of Gene People. But if you'd like to be included on that directory, which will be searchable, so that's the key difference. At the moment, we've got a listing of patient organisations, but this one will be searchable in various means, which is causing me more of a headache than I thought. But please do get in contact, and I'll put our email in the chat in a second. So that's a main piece of work. And then, because we went under such a lot of change last year with the restructure and the demergers that we went through, we are beginning to set our 3-year strategy. So it's really interesting times to hear about everyone's pieces of work and how that might fit in together with our work. But the main thing at the moment is the directory. So do please get involved. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sam. Gina, do you want to give us a bit of an update about the interviews that you've been doing with Wolfram Syndrome UK?
Yeah, thanks, Kerry. So with Wolfram Syndrome UK, we're on our 2nd year project now, and we are talking to members of our community to share their experiences of living with WS, and also their top tips for what they would have liked to have known at the time of their diagnosis. So it's very much, we're trying to get a positive viewpoint. So we're encouraging people to think about how they can provide a positive message to everybody in the community, but at the same time, obviously not try and gloss over the things that they're experiencing. And what's been incredible listening to the people to our community talking is how willing they are to share and how much they're prepared to share, but also the positivity that is there, that they're talking about making the most out of their life and don't give up, and it's really humbling to hear that. So I'm not a video editor, but I am trying to learn some editing so I can make these videos nice and short and snappy. So we're not going to have long interviews with an individual where people have to sit for a long time. We're trying to do focused interviews, clips really of sort of a few minutes without WS UK being, you know, their faces being involved. So it really is about the person speaking. So some of our community, we've been able to sort of get several videos from what they've said. Others, it's kind of one sort of shortish 3 or 4 minutes. So we've got a new page on our website for BDB, and the experiences part will be a sub-page within that. So we've just got 5 videos now ready for upload, because we have to get permission from everyone once we've done their video for them to see the clip. So they will be going up very soon. So as soon as they do go up, Catherine, I'll email you the link so you can see what we're doing. So yeah, so we're all very excited about that. Some of our community are happy to be on screen, even they have visual impairments, so they don't necessarily benefit themselves from being on screen, but some of them are happy for their faces to be on screen. Others are a bit more shy, and so we're recording their voice rather than their face. But we're trying to give everybody the option to be involved in whatever way they feel is important. And the other thing to highlight is that it's inclusive. So we are including our marginalised communities, but we're also including, you know, the sort of the majority as it would be, so that we really are trying to be as inclusive as possible.
Thanks, Gina. Leonie, do you want to introduce yourself to the group?
Oh, you caught me off guard there. Hi, it's pronounced Leonie, which is highly irritating for everybody. But yeah, I recently joined BBS UK in November as admin engagement and events coordinator. So I've got a background in teaching, training, volunteer management, fundraising, lots of third sector stuff, but I'm kind of new to very small charities, and I have a genetic mutation myself, but nothing to do with kind of BBS or anything like that. So I'm just kind of learning as I go, really. You probably know Tonya, and she just said, I can't make it, can you go? So I've scribbled some notes, and I've got a few questions to ask people. So yeah, I'm just kind of learning as I go, really. One question I did want to ask, you might do this as a matter of course, but is it possible to have a copy of the slides, please, afterwards?
Yes, of course. Yeah, and we'll share the recording as well. So yeah, say hi to Tonya and the team for us. And if there's anything that we can support you with as you settle into your role, then yeah, just give us a call.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Simon, how's things at CMT? How are you?
Yeah, CMT is doing all right at the moment, actually. I'm not. I've still got COVID, so I'm not all there, but people say that anyway. So I'm really excited to hear a lot of what you're doing, and a lot of things there I want to get more information about, especially the looking at our website and seeing how we can improve it, because I'm on the inside and I look at it frequently and I don't know if it's any good, to be fair, and I think that's important, and the same for leaflets. So I'm looking forward to working with you and the new team. I've had a chat with Derek already, and seeing him reminds me that I didn't send him the thing I was going to send him, so I'll get on with that. But yeah, no, I'm really pleased to see how BDB is developing, and want to get involved with that. In terms of CMT, we're still looking to expand our membership and still looking to be more inclusive, which we're struggling with. You know, the numbers aren't there, the membership's fairly static. It's a good level, but it's not where I would like it to be in terms of inclusiveness and diversity. So yeah.
Okay, thanks, Simon. Hope you're feeling better soon.
Thank you.
Derek has popped a link in the chat for the Google form, if you can fill that in and just highlight any of the areas that you might want any further information. And yeah, just get in touch about the website and things. We can support with that. Sarah, how's things at Goshi?
Hi there. So things are busy with us. We and the trustees are currently going through a big strategic review. So that's taken a lot of their time. We have an external facilitator who's doing that for, helping us with that. So I'm hoping, I think we've got our next meeting beginning of March. So I'm hoping within the next few months, some outcomes will come from that. But with regards to work programs for this year, we are very much keeping our fingers crossed and looking forward to hosting a couple of face-to-face events this year, later on this year. Very much feedback from our families with children. They want us to bring them together. It's been 3 years since we brought our families together. So we're hoping to organise a family education day with a fun element as well. And then later on in the year, we're doing some work with our neuronopathic, so type 2, type 3 Gaucher community. Want to try and hold a family kind of conference and then update our neuronopathic information and patient leaflet as well. So we're going to be working on those. And as with everybody else, doing some work on our website as well, just to give that bit of a review and refresh, update information, etc.
Great. Thanks, Sarah. Thank you. Claire, how's things at SIBS?
Hi there, everyone. Yeah, really, really good. Thank you. And great to be here. And like everyone else, I have been writing lots and lots of notes this morning, and it's reminded me of things that I know we want to do, and I need to kind of make sure we keep all those balls in the air. I'm from the charity SIBS. We support brothers and sisters of disabled children and adults. It's been a really busy period, like for everyone else. We've seen, gosh, the work increased by about 30% this last year with the same staff team, and we're, like everyone else, probably quite a small organisation. So yeah, we've felt the strain, I think. Coming up, we've got an event on the 4th and 5th of February for adult siblings of people with a lifelong disability. I think we're struggling a bit with interest for Zoom sessions. I think enthusiasm, people are exhausted with it, but people are also not quite ready to come back to face yet. So we've got an event, really lovely event, 4th and 5th. So just in case any of you are able to spread the word, I'll pop a link in a moment into chat. But yeah, we've got some creative sessions on the Friday night, and on the Saturday we've got a brilliant speaker, an author and sibling, Kate Strome, who's based in Australia, which we would never be able to have if we didn't have it on Zoom. So we've got to take those advantages where they come. Yeah. So we've got a really nice programme. So we'd love to sort of promote that. So if you can share that in your networks, that would be fantastic. And we've got National Siblings Day coming up on the 10th of April as well. So we'll be hoping to do a big splash again this year, and again, increase the reach. So again, we'd love to share that. So yeah, Catherine, I must do better at letting you know about events and things we've got coming up so that you can share that for us, because it sounds like you've got a really brilliant network out there. So yeah, great. Thank you.
That's definitely something we'd like to share and get involved in where we can as well. You know,
brilliant.
So yeah, definitely send any links or anything, add to the chat now, or send to Catherine afterwards, and we can put in the BDB news, or if there's something specific information that you want from the network that we could just share amongst the membership as well, just let us know that. Sam, you're fairly new from PIP UK to BDB. Do you want to do a bit of an intro?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Kerry. Yeah, it's my first session as being part of the network, so thanks for having me. Although I feel like I've been part of it because you do so many lovely sessions in other arenas. So yeah, it's great to be here and to get started with the network. So I'm Sam Fillingham. I'm the CEO of PIP UK. We're the Poland Syndrome charity. So we support families affected by this rare limb difference, which primarily affects the hand and the chest, and it's a condition that my son has. So I've been in this position for about a year now. I ran the charity voluntarily for 10 years before that. So we're on a trajectory of growth with having the first paid position in the charity. And it's been a fantastic 12 months being supported by Kerry, Rare Revolution and Find a Cure. We've had a bumper year where we've been able to introduced some wellbeing services for the first time to our community. We just launched our global patient register as well this month, and we've also started our own specialised clinics in the NHS as of December, which has been a fantastic development, and all of which now is proving a funding challenge, shall we say, as I'm sure many find. And you know, I've talked to Kerry about that before as well. But yeah, I mean, great developments and wonderful that we can support this community more. But yeah, in a spot of how you go from that firstly funded to long-term funded, medium-sized, and you know, on a journey with our family support offerings as well. So I'm just really glad to be here with like-minded community groups and organisations, really.
Now, and congratulations, Sam, because all that passion, drive, determination has got you where you are today, and it's great to see, you know, that I suppose being able to get some funding, you know, to be able to support the work that you do is, because it's not easy. So, thank you, Tony. Do you want to introduce Bechet's UK? Tell us a bit about you.
Hi, thanks, Kerry. I'm not very good on the phone with this. Yeah, so I'm chair of Bechet's UK. I've been chair for the last 4 years, and I'm basically trying to underpin the society with a patient registry and a natural history study and things like that. And one of the areas I'm concerned about, I spoke earlier with Kerry about this, is that you know, we don't know our sort of the diversity in our membership and things like this. So there's some work to do there. 70% of our membership are on benefit, so that must say something to what's going on. And I've been getting quite frustrated, I have to say, about the length of time it's taking me to sort out the registry side of life. But we're trying to link into NCARDS, and with all the move to NHS Digital and the NHSX, it's all taking too long. But interesting, I had and I've been asked recently to chair the Central South Genomic Medicine Alliance, the sort of patient rep side of that. So I'm hoping to improve the sort of communities that I link in with, and things like BDB will be really good. But I had a great conversation with a professor from Gosh on Friday, which boosted my morale considerably, because they've been doing some research, I think, with youngsters. And they seem to have discovered some sort of monogenic or a process to analyse monogenic mimics of Bechet's disease. So it's all gobbledygook to me, but I got a number of yellow files surrounding my dining room with various aspects of genomics in it. So I'm going through rather a learning curve at the moment. I linked up with Simon a little while ago, so I'm sure I'll be asking him for some assistance now and again. Anyway, BDB do a fantastic job, and I'm very glad I'm sort of semi-involved. So.
No, thanks, Tony. Yeah, and if there's anything we can help with, just let us know. And I know what you mean with NCARD. I mean, NCARDs are moving again. They're going to NHS England, but they are mentioned throughout the rare diseases framework and the action plan. And I think, you know, there is that recognition that they've got a really important role to play. So let's hope they get the funding and resources and become stable in their new home at NHS England to be able to deliver on a lot of the actions that are being out. Yep. So thank you for that. Okay, Rachel, are you there?
Hello, yes, I'm here. So yeah, I'm fairly new as well. My name is Rachel, and I'm from Reverse Rett, which is a UK patient advocacy and research organisation focused on Rett syndrome. I have a daughter and a stepdaughter with Rett syndrome, both of whom are adults now. So we have a bunch of things that we need help with, and like everybody else, I think, you know, we have all the same sorts of problems, and I've been writing a lot of notes and have a lot of ideas from this today. One issue we do have a registry, but again, it's obviously not everybody is registered, and people from diverse communities are not registering in the numbers that they need to be. So we also are funding a national clinical research and treatment centre. So having people register is sort of their way into that. And my biggest concern is that people aren't having access to this kind of healthcare because they're not registered. And how can we bring people into that. And we do some different online informational events and things like that, but again, we seem to get the same sort of demographic coming to everything. So I will be writing to Catherine and saying, you know, first of all, please can you help us with the website and how we appear to everybody, and not just the website, but social media, everything. And what kind of language can we use to reflect that inclusion, more inclusive attitude. I'm really grateful for the idea of there being a logo that we could use on funding applications and things like that, because I think there's some scope for getting some funding so that we can really focus on this. So yeah, very exciting, and thank you for having me here.
No, good, you're welcome. And I think on the form that Derek shared as well, there's a section on there for anything else, you know, that we might not have talked about today, I suppose, like registries and how to get people more engaged. Add it to that form as well, because, you know, if we see, and that's what Derek were talking about really with the clusters, there'll be people within our network that have got lots of experience in developing patient registries or something like that. So if everybody can share the areas where they feel they might want to, you know, if they're doing a particular piece of work or they want more information, let us know, and then we can look within the network of anybody that's done something that's worked particularly well, and we can set up a time to have that smaller group discussion on that. So yeah, definitely stay in touch and let us know. Okay, so registries is something that, you know, we've found this really challenging. You know, Catherine's worked on this for a couple of years now with ASUK. We've set up a patient registry, and it's not easy to get people to complete those in the first place. They might keep them updated moving forward. We've got quite a comprehensive database within ASUK. And then obviously, because of the partnership we have with our clinicians, we can kind of share some of that information to build that bigger picture, but it still would be so useful to have it in that one place. One of the things that we're looking to set up at ASUK, and again, we'll share information with this, you know, and let you know how it goes, is that yesterday we've just launched our new, just sent out invitations for people to join our new medical and scientific advisory group for Ulstrom syndrome as well, and put out a terms of reference for that. And you know, and luckily I've just seen things pinging through of people filling in the doodle poll. So some people are interested, so that's great. But again, if that gets up and running, you know, we'll be able to share the terms of reference with you as a template that you can then adapt for your organisations. You know, when we talk about the volunteer policy, we've just recruited a new volunteer to BDB and ASUK as well, who can speak a few different languages, and who's going to support us with some of the translation and some of the videos and things that we're wanting to do in different languages. So again, any of those policies or anything we develop, we'll share them again so that you can just adapt them for your own organisation. Rebecca couldn't stay with us. She had to dip off to another meeting, but just to give you an update on Ardent. So this was a collaborative project that was run throughout the pandemic, looking at the impact of COVID-19 on the rare disease community. We particularly looked at the impact on diagnosis and on coordination of care and access to treatments as well. And the Royal School of Medicine, I think it is, are running a series of webinars every Tuesday throughout February. And Rebecca's going to write us a piece we'll put in the news BDB newsletter, and we'll send out on Friday. But if you want to join up, they're free events as well, just to learn a bit more from people in the community and more about the report and kind of the next stages of Ardent as well, and what work we're planning to do. Okay, so that's it from me, unless anybody else has got any questions or anything. No, but it's lovely to see you all, and I really hope it's, I know it might have been disappointing news for people that we're not going to be able to continue providing the kind of small grant funding, pots of grant funding moving forward. But I hope that we've been able to show that there is still some funding there. It's just the model and the way that we're able to produce that funding. So just, yeah, let us know about anything that you're wanting to do, and anything you think we can support with. Even if we can't provide that funding, we can help you look and apply for funding elsewhere to support, and obviously we'll give you our support to do that as well. So Happy New Year to you all. And we look forward to working with you throughout 2020.
Please do complete the evaluation form. Really helps us if we can get some responses. Thanks.
Thanks, Derek. Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye,
Thanks very
everyone.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye bye. Bye.